Hello, everyone. Welcome to August, an episode of Lunch and Life with me, Sharon, and my co-host.
Robin Joy.
Wow, August.
I know.
I think we started July saying the same thing. Wow, July.
It's 2021 is going by so quickly.
Really,
So quickly.
I completely agree. And lots happened since we last saw our viewers, or our viewers last saw us, because we did into July. But this whole conversation around Simone Biles, and I mean, that just, blew up the airwaves, the social media and everything.
It did.
It's crazy. Go ahead.
Well, I'm really, we'll pull it apart and unpack lunch as we do. But I'm excited to kind of chat about it because, and I'll let you go on, because I think it's really incredible in a lot of ways. Well, in many, I think it's really incredible, period.
Well, why don't you continue with that thought?
Okay. So, as we know, the Olympics have gone by, and, Simone, when she backed out of her events, news hit the airwaves, and it was like mental health issues, mental health awareness, and the athletes, and take time. And, here's this person who's on a pedestal, literally many times, the gold medalist, and, this image that she has and performance at this high level of performance, and people really questioning her and putting the opinions in, and should she perform, and is it mental health? And then the news was breaking it down further as far as what's it called when you lose your balance? Not balance, but there was a term that they were using.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think I caught that.
I was going to call it the zoomies, but it's not. That's what my dog does.
Oh.
There's something when you lose your place in the air that the gymnasts call it.
Oh, I think I must have missed that when I was reading about it.
I'll get back to all of you on that one. But It's when the gymnasts flip and turn and stuff like that. It has to do with their balance, and it has to,
But not vertigo.
It's not vertigo, but it has to. It's a combination of them losing their awareness in the air, and then having, when they lose their awareness, and obviously, performing at such a high level, one, confidence, and two, they're flipping and turning and doing those things. There's a huge level of, danger to them.
Yeah.
Because they could really injure themselves. So it was just really interesting to see from the first day that it was announced that she was backing out, and then watching the progression. Was she going to, be on the individual events, and each one, and then she did do beam, but each one, to people putting in their opinions. And we can continue to unpack this, but what I'm getting at, and you can interrupt me at any point that you want to, what I'm getting at was, not only did she take care of herself and say, no, I can't do this. I'm so proud of, I'm so proud of her for standing up and saying, I am going to take care of myself. I'm really, truly listening to myself and my needs. And I will take it day by day, and I will let you know. And that's okay. And so it was truly tuning into her own needs. Some people giving support, and some others, and really quieting that noise and not listening to others' opinions. And one of the NBC newscasters had said something to another gymnast, how is she doing? And she said, I think she's doing well, but it's not my story to tell.
And that's, you said something so important. It's all important, but just what you said, that last sentence, it's not the other gymnast's story to tell. And that's part of the bigger problem of us in society, not you and me, but society, thinking that they have to tell the story, they have to put a spin on it. You see and this is with everything. This is with politics. This is like, what's your opinion? What do you think of this? And everybody can have their own opinions. Some people thought she was a quitter. it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the courage, the bravery, the vulnerability to be able to stand up and at a young age
A
to
very engaged.
own it and to just basically tell everybody, you can call me what you want, you can think what you want, I'm taking this for myself, is huge. And I think for people, especially for young women, young girls, in sports and everything, and then even to add on to all of that, everything that she and a lot of other gymnasts and athletes went through with Nasser, the sexual assaults with all of the athletes, like we don't know what is going on behind closed doors, period.
Right.
And it's
Right.
not a story to tell. We should never judge. So what can we do instead, right? It's holding compassion, holding a place, holding a space for having compassion for somebody else without creating the stories in our minds, without that judgment and pointing fingers. And that's what we as a society really should embrace and what we need to learn.
Yeah, and just be able to hold that space. And if someone wants to talk, they can talk. And you can just listen. You don't have to have a response. You don't have to have an opinion. You can just be there to be there. It's kind of plain and simple. And I was thinking, what an incredible role model. And we've talked about this throughout throughout all the time we've known each other about, you can't be perfect, right? There's not like, and I know in my life I've tried to be that perfect, that didn't serve me well. But I really feel like Simone Biles gave a level of perfection as far as a human being and an individual. Like that, perfect and perfection are different, right? To me, I think as a human being, as a role model, as someone that people should look up to for their personal accountability for holding yourself where you want, that is like perfection as a human.
Hmm. Very nicely said. Yeah, I agree. And I think that getting back to everything that you and I talk about every week about that self-care and how it affects us emotionally, mentally, how it affects us physically, and how we take care of ourselves, of what it does to our body, the stress of all of that, for somebody who is an athlete, what about somebody who isn't? It doesn't matter what level we're at. It wreaks havoc on our bodies and it releases cortisol and our adrenals go haywire. We gain weight and we're wondering, how did this happen? I do everything right. It's such a beautiful example and we need more of it. We need more of knowing it's okay.
Right. And I think you said something really incredible because it is stress on the body. It is mental health and the stress all over.
Yeah.
Right. And for us to kind of shift gears and pause and say, okay, all of us should be doing what she did. And that's kind of tuning into ourselves and taking a look and being able to say, I'm not going to do this. I can't do this today, or it's not going to get done, like that not to do list, like just that self care. I think she's proved that self care is so important for your life.
Yeah.
So
You mask on yourself first.
be gentle on yourself.
Yeah. I remember when my kids were in high school, I think I did this with each of them, where they just were, especially junior year, the SATs or the ACTs, applying to colleges, and senior year, it became so much, taking all these AP classes, striving for this, beating the Joneses, meeting the Joneses, being part of all of that. It was a lot. And I remember with each of my kids, they reached almost like a breaking point of like, their bodies were falling apart. I'm like, let's just take the day off. Let's just take a mental health day, a self-care day, take the day off. Let's do something, sleep in. It's okay. And I remember when I did it with my oldest the first time, he was like, what? Wait, it's okay. You're saying it's okay for me to miss a day of school. And I said, yes. And that whole aha, right, of shifting, as you're saying, that perspective of how we're supposed to show up, who we're supposed to be. And it's like it's jarring and makes you pause and realize it's just one day. I
Right.
mean, obviously for different people, it's different things, but at that time, my kids were like, "Oh my God, my mom's so cool. She's letting me take a day off from school."
Yeah. No, it's true though. It's true. I remember doing that too. And I remember, I think it was my daughter, Kira. She's my youngest. And I remember there was a point where, like, how many honors classes can you have? And, she was in theater. So a lot of her senior year was out auditioning for colleges. Um, and I remember her saying, I said to her, I'm like, can you like cut some of these AP classes down? So like instead of six, can you like pick a couple? Because and they were really dinging her. It was interesting because the schools, they valued kids going to orientations and college visits, but they didn't quite put the same value on auditioning. And I
Mm,
was like, she's still going to a college. That's a whole different other episode. Anyways, but I was like, if you really don't like love the class, like you don't need AP Lit and AP English because you can only take one of those, right? As far as credits go. So like pick the one you love and just
yeah,
do that one. And
yeah.
she's like, oh, that sounds so much better. And you could just see like them breathe and just start giving them choices. But
Yeah, my
yeah,
daughter did that. My daughter did that also, and she realized, this extra class is not going to make or break where I want to go and what I want to do. And it's interesting because she ended up dropping the class. I don't remember what it was. It was an AP class, and I, she felt relief. It
hmm
was this huge burden that had been lifted. P.S. She goes to college. She ends up double majoring and working so hard, but it was what she chose versus high school, what you have to do, right?
hmm
And I think that's like such a pivotal point of understanding for everyone is that are you doing because you have to or because you want to and you're choosing to, right? To your, taking a chance to make a
choice, chance, change.
come on, mine's easier. The gut method, GUT. Find and yeah, I love that we can laugh. But it's like what I want to impart upon all of our viewers is like, how do you even know when you're on that? You're on the autobahn, you're in that fast lane. Like, how do you even know?
Yeah.
For you to be able to like become aware so that you can do something about it because so many times it's like you're just in that groove of doing.
Well, I think, it comes down to, and we've had this in our lives too. I think when you start getting up and you're feeling not even resentful, like you're tired before you even get going, right? You're going to either that job or that phone call or that task that is a task, like a heavy, heavy burden. That's when I think you have to kind of reevaluate what you're doing at that moment. And is it something that you're really not loving? Like, can you give it up? And if it's part of your job, can you give it to somebody else to do because you're really not in love with what you're doing? That's where you have to start evaluating some of those choices. Because when it becomes that burden, it's kind of telling you something. That's when you get so busy that when you take something away, you make room for something else. It's kind of the same idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're on this autopilot and you just make these assumptions. But
Yeah.
then as your body starts to react and it starts to break down, right? It's like your brain starts to sense this danger of like, oh, warning, warning, there's stress here. Like, what am I doing? What's going on? And as you love to talk about also, I remember some of your talks about the amygdala and how it sends out the signals and everything to start that whole fight or flight response. It's such a cascade
hmm
that affects everything in our body. And then before you know it, you wake up and you're like, how did this happen?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it does. Listen, our bodies are brilliant. Our brains are brilliant. The amygdala, it's all telling you something. It's just where are we at in our stories and where are we really listening, right? So if we can get into that morning routine, if we can get into a meditation, if we can just give ourselves, even if it's a few minutes a day, just to do for us, just to quiet that noise, right? And whether it's a walk outside or a journal or a cup of coffee or anything, just to really say, how are you doing? A conversation within ourselves, right? Robin, how are you doing today? I'm doing okay. You know, you
But
might
wait,
think
am I?
I might be a little crazy. I'm talking to myself, but just to start knowing who you are and just to start doing, finding that time to spend then a half hour with yourself and an hour, like just find time for you and see what you like and add things in. Whether you're a mother of 3 young children or an empty nester or single, married, doesn't matter. You really have to know you. And I
Yeah.
think that's what Simone really, that's the beauty in all of this, I think, to kind of come back to where we started, where I started to ramble. I think that's the beauty in this whole thing is that, she really knew what she needed and nobody, and for good reason, nobody was going to push her because what she does is quite dangerous, right? You go flip off a balance beam,
Yeah.
4 times. Um, but she knew she had to listen to herself.
She's such an inspiration, and it just goes to show that we can learn from people of all ages
Mhm.
as long as we're willing to listen, be patient, and also think about what we believe and asking ourselves, is that true? And just to always be curious, it's like, I can't wait to learn more about what Simone's going to do next. She's going to totally be a keynote speaker, right? I could just see it like a keynote speaker, inspirational, motivational. It's
Exactly.
for young women, and yeah, I think that it's a beautiful lesson for all of us, no matter how old we are, of the importance of that, of taking care of our mental health. And yeah, even Michael Phelps, after the Olympics and winning all those gold medals, started to become a spokesperson for the mental health and therapy.
Yeah, he has a whole foundation now, which is quite interesting. If you haven't looked at it, it's michaelphelpsfoundation.org. Because I had looked into it and actually went to pitch them on a couple ideas, but very interesting what they're doing for athletes and just for the communities.
Yeah, and I think it's beautiful. And I think that the way we're approaching health is just going to keep shifting, and really, and I think it's beautiful that it's sad that, it has to be the athletes, but because they're so in the spotlight, it's a beautiful way for us to really wake up and pay attention.
Right. I agree. I do agree.
And I think we did a nice job unwrapping that.
Wrapped up.
And always nice unpacking lunch with you, Robin.
Always fun unpacking lunch with you, Sharon.
We hope everyone has a great day.
Bye.